Have you ever heard of an escalation clause? Let's talk about that today. Hi, I'm Charlotte Mabry with Keller Williams Realty, and I want to welcome you to our video blog today. If you are thinking of either buying your new home or selling your current home, we've got tons of information all located around our page here just for you. Be sure you click on one of those buttons and get all that free information sent your way. So today's topic is an escalation clause. What in the world is that, and should you even use it? You know, if you're thinking of purchasing a home in 2021, guess what? There are other people thinking the very same thing. That's not news, right? As a matter of fact, for every home that someone's looking at buying, there's typically 10 to 20 or 30 other people thinking about that same home. So you got competition. How do you one-up the competition? A good way to do that is an escalation clause. So how does that work? You know, you go to the seller in part of your offer and say, you know what, I'm willing to pay X dollars for your home. However, if another offer comes in, I'm willing to escalate the amount I'm willing to pay on upwards to Y, the next number Y, that I will pay you for this home. But there's a limit of letter Z on here. I'm not going to go past this particular number. So a good example is you might offer $200,000, but say if another offer comes in, I'm willing to go up to $210,000, but I would never go above $212,000. So we can specify all that in what's called an escalation clause. Now keep in mind, some states do not allow that in your contract. So you want to be sure and ask your agent, is that something that your state does allow? Now, the good news is with this, you have an opportunity to slug it out and stay in the game, hopefully all the way to the end, and win an offer. Now, the bad news is, gee, you've laid all your cards out on the table. You offered $200,000, but you said you'd be willing to go to $210,000. Well, guess what the seller's going to do when there's another offer? Yeah, the price just went to $210,000. So it does have a downside in that you have laid out all of your cards on the table. Now, another thing to think about is, let's say that $200,000 house, you were willing to pay $210,000, but oops, the appraiser comes along and he goes, you know what guys, no, this house is only worth $200,000. So now what do? We've got something you've agreed to pay $210,000 for. The seller's accepted that number, but it doesn't appraise for that. If your loan process requires that you have that appraisal, in hand, then we got to figure that one out. We've either got to find a way for you to make up the difference, and particularly on those times I see where people waive the appraisal contingency, and you say, hey, I don't care what it appraises for, I'll make up the difference. That's another strong tool, but remember, you've got to make up the difference. So be careful with that. But again, you can leave that appraisal contingency in there, and it might be something you'd have to renegotiate, and potentially your contract could fall apart over the appraisal. So that's a downside potentially to an escalation clause. I guess the last thing I would say is think about, hey, I want this home, I want to compete over it, I want it, and we want you to have it. That said, if 5 years from now you got transferred, if maybe there's a chance for that, or you think, gosh, 5 years from now my life circumstances might drastically change, and if you had to sell that property 1 year from now, 5 years from now, what's the market going to be like? Is it still going to be that high? I mean, you and I really don't know that answer, but I would take an educated guess and think, okay, why am I really escalating this offer? Is it because I'm thinking ahead, or just because I want it in the heat of the moment? That'd be my advice for you as a buyer. An escalation clause is a great tool, but think it through. If you have questions on how that works, I'd be happy to get one of our buyer specialists together with you to explain it in detail. Just send me an email, Charlotte at charlottemabryteam.com, or you can call our team phone, 5588, and we'll be glad to help you with that. Thanks again for watching our video blog today. I hope you have a fantastic day.